Like and subscribe right now, or else this will be in your bed tonight. r/AskReddit by Planet Reddit. What made you break up with the person you thought you'd marry? FBI knocking at my door to arrest him for being a pedophile and a kiddie porn salesman. No joke. Yeah. That'll do it. I'm so sorry. That's horrific. I hope you're doing okay. Doesn't really fit here because I did marry him in the end. But in retrospect I should have broken it off before it got that far. He wasn't who I thought he was and I wasn't who he wanted me to be. He was depressed, obese and had huge self-worth issues and some trouble with alcohol abuse. The relationship ended up being more of a caretaker-patient thing, with him making me feel guilty when I left home for work, and spending spare time with someone else was unthinkable. Short term I figured he'd get better, but he refused therapy. He tried starting 4 studies but lost interest sooner with each of them. With this getting progressively worse for 9 years, in the end he had no diploma, no income, was heavier than ever, drinking daily and relying on me for everything. Leaving was difficult, but it was the best thing I could have done for him. He finally started taking responsibility, started therapy, and now he's financially independent, taking care of his body and doing all kinds of active things with friends. In the meantime I'm happily taken and feel a lot more free to pursue my goals and dreams with a partner who's also aiming for the stars. Sorry to hear this sad story. Wish you the best of luck in the future. Both of my parents are alcoholics. Although my mother still gets along pretty well, I still know how frustrating dealing with someone who's too drunk to function on the regular can be. This thread really gave me the kick up the ass I needed to sort my mental health and finances out. I'm dating the most incredible man for 4 years, but I see now how my depression and lack of financial control is affecting us. I feel we are headed for a breakup, but if I get myself on track we might have a chance. She wanted to go to Florida for the Disney college program. She is a huge Disney nerd. She was too scared she would lose me. I convinced her to do it because if she didn't, she would regret it forever, and that no matter what happened I would still be here for her. 6 months and an engagement ring later she told me that while in Florida she realized she didn't love me like she thought she had. The ring is in a box in the back of a drawer in my dresser. Her worst fear came true. So did mine. She left you for Goofy? That's always been my fear too. HYUCK. Bro. I can't believe how relevant this thread is to me right now. My dad just dropped me back off at my house from the hospital 45 minutes ago, so this literally just happened. His fiancé was watching my son while he took me. The last 4 days. My fiancé has decided to stay at her new co-worker's house either overnight or until well into the morning. I told her that's ridiculously not okay to do when you're engaged, even though she claims it was just stress relief playing video games with a new guy friend. We also have a 4-month-old son that I've been taking care of for the past 4 days she's been gone. And I've been very sick with what I thought was a stomach bug. Well, this morning I fainted, and she insisted I just get some rest and maybe go to urgent care if I don't get better. Then I lost my ability to keep any liquids down and was insistent that she take me to the hospital, then go home and take care of our son. This was too much to ask though, as she'd already made plans to meet this guy again tonight. She walked to her work and left her family behind to go spend the night at his house. I told her that if she chooses to abandon her family to go spend time with another man, who I never accused her of cheating on me with despite the numerous red flags, then her family won't be waiting for her when she gets home. I involved someone in my family out of necessity. So my dad took me to the hospital and his fiancé watched my son. My fiancé's last text to me simply said I can't come home, so I guess I just lose everything. I know it was petty, but when I got home I just sent her a picture of our son and told her that this was who she chose to give up on tonight. Edit. After reading a lot of these other posts, I'm realizing I should probably have left her much sooner. What the duck? I'm a new mom myself and I can't even imagine. This is really disturbing to me. She needs a serious wake-up call. She had a wake-up call, but is ignoring it. I was raped while in the military. Fiancé also military. I told him what happened and he went out, had sex with someone, filmed it, and showed me the film because I cheated on him, so he was making it even. I ran immediately. What in the duck did I just read? Jesus Christ, good for you for leaving that. He's walking human garbage. I was engaged to a guy I'd dated for 3 years and planning a destination wedding. He cheated with a mutual friend one night. His mom, who he lived with while we were apartment hunting, accidentally walked in on them in the middle of it while letting the dogs out. He didn't know his mom had seen. But his mom called me and told me what happened. He denied it when I confronted him, which made it worse. Called off the wedding and broke up, etc. Weirdly enough, he got married about 5 years later to someone else in the exact same destination wedding location venue package colors I had always dreamed of and planned out for us. He must have kept my planning binder and just reused it or something. Edit. Whoa, this blew up. Made a clarity edit because guy did not sleep with his mom. Answering some questions here. Could his mom have been wrong? Was it a plot to break you up? No. He finally came clean after I said his mom had walked in on him and called me. And the mutual friend admitted it to me too when I confronted her. His mom was basically sobbing when she called me because she didn't want us to break up, but knew she should tell me. I'm actually sad about losing the mom so much more than my ex. She was awesome. Some other things were revealed about him later too, like he lied about finishing his degree at university and had failed out instead. I dodged a big bullet for sure. 2. What happened to the mutual friend? 3. What happened to me? I ended up moving across the country a few months later, meeting the man who is now my awesome husband of 8 years. And we just had our first kid last year. I'm much happier with this outcome. That was awesome of his mom for telling you. Some parents know their kid is a twat and try to do their best. She ended her own life last October. It'll have been a year since she died in 6 days. Still breaks my heart. We were already engaged. But she was a very, very troubled woman. I kinda just shot this post out because I was so certain nobody would notice. And I needed to vent. Been breaking down a lot now that I'm approaching the worst day in my life. But it's good to know you're out there reached out like this. Thanks, everyone. We had been dating for over 2 years. And engaged for about 6 months. Then one night, she bit me twice. Then I slapped her once. And she called the cops. We were drunk, of course, and got into an argument about something stupid. And I wanted to let it all go until the morning, when we could talk about it when we were sober. But she was doing that thing she had been doing for a while at that point, refusing to relent until she felt she won the argument. I was going to sleep at her apartment that night. But when she wouldn't stop arguing, I decided to get up and leave. As I was starting to put my pants on, she tackled me in a fit of rage. Then she bit my arm hard, so much so that she drew blood. I still have the scar. I squirmed away, but she grabbed my legs and then she bit me again. Hard, this time on my ass cheek. I still have that scar too. Only it's bigger. The second bite she wouldn't let go, gnashing on my ass like a dog with a chew toy. So I grabbed her hair and pulled. Then slapped her. She was shocked that I would slap her. Shocked. She called the cops. They showed up. Saw all the blood and that I was the only one bleeding. Then arrested her. I was actually kind of surprised by that. But they were reasonable individuals. About 6 weeks after this incident, I met the woman who is now my wife. This November will be our 22nd wedding anniversary. And in all that time, she has never bitten me. And I have never slapped her. And in all that time, she has never bitten me. And I have never slapped her. Are the true meaning of love. Edit. This is really the highest upvoted comment I have. Should I be happy or insulted? That brings a whole new meaning to the phrase bite my ass. She was in love with my best friend. And they were both in denial about it. They were engaged a month after we broke up. Edit. Answering questions. They both told me nothing physical happened and I believe them, but they hung out a lot, which was pretty normal because we were all friends in high school, and I'm pretty sure they were already emotionally involved because she started to drift away, emotionally. They were both nice about it and asked if I'd be okay. I said yes because they seemed like they would be happy together and I cared about them both, but I don't hang out with them all that much because as nice as I try to be about it, I still feel betrayed. I still talk to my best friend every once in a while, but it doesn't ever really get any deeper than the "what are you up to these days?" texts. And for everyone commenting "been there and me too," I'm truly sorry. I sincerely believe that there's someone for everyone. Whoever you lost wasn't that person. As they say in Meet the Robinsons. Keep moving forward. I had something similar happen. Except I had only dated the dude for a week or two. I realized pretty quickly that he and his roommate were in denial about how much they loved each other, so I broke up with him and said he needed to ask her out. She was just getting over another guy at that time too. This was 10 years ago or so, and they're the cutest couple still and they have an adorable son. I'm very happy for them. That was really good of you to take charge and encourage him like that without taking it too personally. He cheated. And got another woman pregnant. Then called me a few weeks later asking me to be the child's godmother. Because he knows I'm really good with kids. What the duck? Completely unable to manage money. Spent every dollar he came across on gaming and weed and constantly put off paying important bills. World dragged us both into bankruptcy if I would stayed him. I'm glad for you. Financial abuse is a real thing. And will never end if you stay in a relationship with someone who doesn't manage their money at all so they can spend it on partying. I moved across the world for him. He kept telling me one day I want to propose. Or I can't wait for you to be my wife. That proposal never came. And I was having visa issues. So after a few years I gave up and moved back. Met my wife when she was here in the States on a J1 visa. I was only with her for about 4 months and knew she was the one. Her visa was expiring and my mom told me put a ring on her finger. We've been married 3 years this November and have a 13-month-old son. I wasn't going to allow her to move back to Europe. Ironically, we moved to Europe for a year and came back to the States. Met my husband when he was an exchange student in my department. I let my guard down. Because I knew there couldn't be any commitment involved. I'd only gotten out of a 10-year relationship less than a year earlier and wasn't interested in meeting anyone. Within a few months, I knew for certain I would marry him. We spent the first year figuring out how to be in the same country for a few months at a time. That was nearly 18 years. A few countries. And a couple kids ago. He was obsessed in making me speak better. He would control my food intake and make me exercise every day. Whenever I was out with him I have to wear heels, dress well, and he would point out what other girls were wearing and that I should try on. Putting makeup is a must even when I'm on a plane. I wasn't allowed to speak other language aside from English and not allowed to watch dramas. That is trash to him. My last straw was him asking me to consider to get a boobs job when I lost so much weight from all the exercise controlled diet. I realized I cannot live this way anymore and he will never be satisfied ever. Even though I still love him, but I was mentally drained and constantly felt that I was ugly and unworthy. My ex-husband was like this too. What did you eat today? Did you work out today? He made me dress cute and wear heels. Always wanted my hair to be bleached blonde and long. Looking back, I had developed an eating disorder. I was 5'7". Just over 100 pounds. He told me if I lost 10 more lbs I could get my belly button pierced. After 6 or 7 years of that I told him I wasn't happy and wanted a divorce. He wouldn't take that as answer. I eventually cheated on him and he found out. As horrible as it was. That's what got me out of that relationship. A couple months later he begged for me to come back. After he had been on a bender and slept with a bunch of women and didn't contact me or our small son at all during these couple months away. Like an idiot. I took him back. He had developed a drinking problem and things were not any better. We lasted 6 months before I snapped on his ass after all the years of abuse. He kicked me and our son out. This was over 10 years ago and I am now happily engaged to my best friend who has never once fussed over my weight or appearance. We had been dating for 3 years. Constantly talked about getting married and what our life will be like. He went back into the military and wouldn't commit to having a long distance relationship with me. Because it would be way too distracting when he's in the field and I pop up on his mind, and he didn't want to commit to a relationship while in the army. So we broke it off. The real kicker is that a couple months after being away in another state, he started dating a new girl who apparently lives in the same state as me. So, Lol. I too got dumped a month ago by my ex-boyfriend who is in the military because he couldn't handle the distance. Turns out he may be getting back with his ex, who stays in another country altogether. So, lol. Edit. Why does everyone assume I'm mad? I'm not. I understand him and I love him and respect his decision even though I wish he'd tried harder to make our relationship work. I too was broken up with. My then girlfriend of 2 years said she wanted to be single and didn't want to have to worry about being in a relationship and just wanted to do her and focus on herself. Turns out, 2 weeks later she's dating a new guy who lives in the same city as us. So, lol. Edit. Spelling. Edit 2. Highest rated comment is because of something I said about her? Hola. How does that work lol? After 2 years of constantly forgiving him for cheating on me, it wasn't until I needed to be hospitalized that I realized he didn't love me. When I needed him the most he told me, "I'm sorry. I can't take you being in there. It makes me too sad. Call me when you get out." So when I did, I told him I just wanted to be friends. But I had nothing against him. Literally a day after I called him and told him that, he made FB official post dating some other girl lol. I'm married now and really happy in my relationship. I definitely dodged a bullet. I'm sorry. I can't take you being in there. It makes me too sad. Call me when you get out. Seriously. What a mother ducker. I went through something similar. You dodged a bullet. Hope you're doing fine. We had been dating for 2 years, but had dated in high school 10 years before that. She had been married for a short time but that all broke up right before we started dating. Anyways, she wouldn't invite me around to her parents' place ever, because they were very religious and didn't believe in divorce. After getting engaged, though, I felt like I ought to hurry up and clear the water with them. I had known them in high school, though they had never liked me, and I remembered her dad's mobile number. So I called him. Long story short, she was still married to her husband. She had lied about getting divorced and I was her side chick. Though she spent so much time with me, I don't believe they could have had a very happy marriage. I made her give me the ring back. Darling. That really sucks. I'm sorry you had to go through that. Yeah. I felt bad about it for a long time. And it didn't stop there. After I found her out, she tried to pretend to get divorced again. This time, she'd drive me to a law firm, where I waited in the lobby. She didn't want her husband to see me and he was going to be there. She went up the elevator, and 30ish minutes came back with papers signed in multiple types of handwriting. I knew hers very well. The lawyer's name was signed and it matched the name of the lawyer she went there to see. Anyways, it was all a fake. She forged the signatures and the handwritings and everything. It took me a while to call her out on it. I just clung to a suspicion I had that she was lying. I found out for sure after having a talk with her husband. I still don't know how she got the papers as she didn't have a bag big enough for them. And they had no folds or creases in them. They later really did get divorced. She started dating a mutual friend from high school who lived near my house. They took up walking outside my home at 2 AM in the morning, and following the girl I was with at the time when she drove places. It took me close to 4 years to shake her fully, and that was only after moving houses and remaining unlisted. The relationship died. We had very different ideas of what life should be like. For example, he had said he'd break up with me if I didn't get a college education. He also gave me ultimatums, twice, about moving with him to a small town both times. At the second time, I let him carry out the ultimatum. No pressure whatsoever. Found credit card statement on the floor once, just before a family holiday. Thousands in debt that he'd never told me about. I'd been paying the rent entirely by myself in a job I hated and I was too young and naive, 23, to realize he wasn't an honest man. That was it. Edit. We still chat every now and again. We wanted different things in life. So the argument that followed was the straw that broke the camel's back. My next partner, now husband, had a lot of debt from a failed business. But the difference was he was honest about it. So I didn't care. Money doesn't trump love. But honesty is the bedrock of any relationship. Same for me. Except her mom had been paying her credit card for years and basically told me that her daughter was $150,000 plus in debt to her and that would be our debt soon. She never told me about it. Yikes. Thank God for mothers who aren't afraid to give the people around their kids a heads up. I asked him what I meant to him and he answered nothing. I'm so sorry. That's really cruel. But refreshingly straightforward given some of the other stories in this thread. She actually was quite the rude person and believed anyone who told her that acting this way is unacceptable is someone trying to control her. She would always deflect and couldn't just accept that people don't like blunt and rude ass people in general. Is there any chance that you were dating my ex? It's possible. She does get around. My mom was dying. It was my last Thanksgiving with her. Without discussing it with me first. He had his mom buy him plane tickets to spend Thanksgiving with his parents. And asked if I wanted to go with him. No. I am not missing the last Thanksgiving I can ever spend with my mom. We will have our whole lives to spend Thanksgiving with your family after this. You're leaving me to face this one alone. Or to abandon my mother on her last Thanksgiving? It was suddenly very clear, being happy to cancel wedding plans to do it later. And many other things, that he didn't want to be in a relationship with me. But wouldn't break up with me. Because my mom was dying. And he was too nice a guy to dump his fiancé whose mom was dying. To his credit, we remained close friends. And he continued to be there as my best friend and emotional support through her death. And some months following. Although it was 8 years ago. We still chat text a few times a year. And catch up on how our families are doing. Edit. The 20th of December. 2018. I just got a call telling me he died today. It was tragic. He was a kind person. And only 36. RIP. My friend. Your ability to not resent him and see things from his perspective is one of the wisest and most mature displays of adult level understanding I've ever seen. Read. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for 3 videos a day.